it happens, I had Darlene on my show last year. She's an amazing singer, and I'm sure she'll have some things to say at the interview.
I met Phil while I was a background singer. I met him through a gentleman named Lester Sill. I was doing work for Lester Sill at the time, and Phil was in town from New York City looking for someone to record He's a Rebel. With me, Phil was a very easygoing person. I didn't have all the trouble and the problems everybody else had. When I went into the recording studio to sing or to perform, that's what I was there for, and I never really had any problems with Philip. He would tell me the way he wanted me to sing it, and I would do it. If he had a problem, the words or whatever weren't coming out right, or he couldn't understand them, he would stop me and tell me. But we would usually go into the studio, and within 1 to 5 takes, I was finished.
Every evening when the sun goes down, I lay my head.
Darlene? I don't have to have oohs behind it, okay? Let's forget about the intro for now. Let's just come right in. 1, 2, 3.
Every evening when the sun goes down, I lay my head on the pillow down. Every evening when the sun goes down, I lay my head on the pillow down. You gonna keep that other part the same?
Yeah.
Me in business. Now that's a different story because, see, like when I got with Phil, like when I did He's a Rebel, it was already understood I was getting paid $1,500 to do the record, which was fine. When the record was such a big success, we signed contracts. In those days, a contract was only as good as how powerful you were. I'll put it that way. If you had the money to get out of contracts, you could get out of them. In those days, nobody was running around trying to get out of contract if something bad happened or you weren't getting along with the producer or you weren't getting paid. So between 1963 and 65, I was signed to Philip. I got one royalty statement from Philip for $3,000, and that was it. I never got another dime from Phil. That's when we started not really getting along. And back in those days, like 20 years ago, it didn't bother me as much then because I was young, inexperienced, and never thought at the time that I was being used or whatnot by Philip. It wasn't until years later that I started feeling like that I was really being used by Phil because the records were still being produced and still being put out under my name, under the Crystal's names, under Bobby Sox and the Blue Jeans name, and nobody was getting paid. And I was just feeling that I was really being exploited now at this time. Here it is 20 years later, and I'm still not getting any money from Philip. And I think enough is enough.